going live right now.
Oh my God.
So
this has been the worst. Just, you know those days where you feel like the universe is just against you in every measure?
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those days for me.
Yeah.
None of my shit works, because why would it? Why would it, Zach?
Right.
Why would my stuff work?
But I don't know.
Because I spend all this time getting all this stuff to work so that I can work, but then my stuff just doesn't work. My computer that I normally do all this stuff on just won't. It just won't. Okay, so now I'm on the laptop, so apologies for those of you on YouTube. I have a bit of a potato vision thing going on. Zach is, I don't know what the hell he's doing.
My cord is completely tangled around my chair.
Discord, I can't see the Discord chat, so apologies to all the patrons, because I can't add new patrons to the Discord right now, and I can't see what's going on because Discord logs us out of everything all the time.
Yep. Unless you use it every day, it logs you out. We're back.
Oh, and of course, I can't open my DAW on this computer for some reason. I have it, it just won't open. So, Addison, I'm sorry. You're just going to have to deal with whatever audio we give you this episode, because my God.
You got this.
Jesus Christ. Okay. What's up?
Hey.
You and I haven't talked in a couple weeks.
No, not really. Just in passing.
After that last episode, we needed some space.
That's right. And I sent you and I apologize. I made a thumbnail where I put your face on Gene Simmons' body
without my consent.
And then it just makes me laugh, because you look at it and you're like, why is Rhett dressed like that? And then I made it your profile picture on my phone. And when you text me, I'm like, who the hell is this?
Apparently it made the rounds at Novo too. Apparently I'm on the wall somewhere.
Yeah.
Matthew showed me. Cool.
I love it so much.
That's so great.
it just, like, if I found the perfect angle of your face, and if I had a picture of me that I could do, I would totally done it, but it was just like too perfect.
It's fine. So. I thought it was funny. I legit, it was really, really funny. So I wonder if Gibson's pissed at us, by the way. I guess I'll find out next week at NAMM when I wander into their booth. And
yeah, you'll find out. So are you going?
Yeah, I'm going. We, I guess I can talk about it. Because they announced them yesterday, the UA amp pedals.
Yeah. I thought maybe we could talk about that today.
I have all three of them.
Oh, perfect.
I'm actually going out there to do a video. It's going to be myself and Tim Pierce and James Santiago, the creator of the pedals. And we're going to go to Sunset Sound Studios. And basically, I'm going to make a video. So UA is sponsoring the video. This is a sponsored thing. And I don't like doing gear demos. And I don't like doing... I don't think I've ever done like a properly sponsored video.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I have. I've done like the Boss Waza FC1 fuzz. But generally when I do that, I try and make the video about something else. Like, not, hey, let's talk about how great this pedal is that they're paying me to show you, kind of thing, right?
Right.
So this video, we're going to go and we're going to get the amps that they used for reference for these pedals. And really, I think the video is going to be about the amps and the sounds and why they decided to do some of the things they did. And Tim will be there at a room that he's worked at a lot, and we'll just basically have a big amp nerd video. And what I'm going to try and do is, for each amp, I want to dial in one or two sounds and then try and it's actually we can get more into this later, but I think it is a bit telling of how confident UA is in these pedals, because I pitched them on this idea, like, let's use the real amps. Let's dial in a sound and let's see if we can approximate that with the pedals. And they were like, yeah, okay, let's do it. So that's what
awesome.
We're going to do.
Cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, we can talk more about that. How was your vacation?
Well, vacation was unbelievable. So for those of you who don't know, which I imagine is most of you, because why would you be clued into my personal endeavors. My wife and I went on our first vacation in like 3 years, 2.5 years. A couple weeks ago, we packed up the truck and our camper and we drove out west. The whole trip in total was 5,400 miles. It was 5454. So 5,454 miles. So we went, left Atlanta, made it to Santa Fe in about 2 days. Did 2 nights in Santa Fe, then went up to Durango, Colorado, met up with my childhood best friend, Andrew, and his girlfriend, Jewel, and we did most of the trip with them. So we did basically Durango, Colorado, Mesa Verde National Park, which is amazing, all the Native American cliff dwellings and everything. Then we cut across into Valley of the Gods, Monument Valley, like Forrest Gump Point, you know, that scene where he's running up the road, all the people are behind him, and he's like, he stops, and he's like, I think I'll go home now. I have a picture of us standing right there in that spot on the road, which is fun. And then we cut across to South Rim of the Grand Canyon. Saw that. It was fine. It's a big ass hole in the ground. Then we went around up north into like Zion National Park. Did a couple days in Zion. And then we're camping the whole time on BLM land, which is public land here in the States. And said goodbye to Andrew and Jewel. Tilly and I cut across Utah. It took us 2 days to get across Utah, the scenic route. And we went to Moab. We spent 3 days in Moab and then came home across Colorado, Kansas City, St. Louis, the whole way. It was a blast.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Saw some cool shit. Did some cool shit. It was a much needed reset for Tilly and I. So
yeah, I bet. I mean, I'm not one for camping. But it would be fun to see all that stuff. So,
well, we weren't camping in the sense of like pitching a tent every night. We have the camper. Right. It's a Taxa Cricket Overland, if anyone's interested in looking it up. It's a cool like pop-up travel trailer that's like really off-road capable. So because we have the FJ, we were able to get back to some incredible campsites that are kind of off some beaten off some dirt roads, off the beaten path a little bit. So it was sick, man. Like camping in Valley of the Gods for 2 nights was like I was in a John Wayne film. It's the most picturesque thing. And then at night, all the stars come out. We had one moment because it's so clear out there. You can see satellites going by and the Milky Way and all this stuff. And we had one moment in Valley of the Gods where up over the horizon, it looked like someone was shining a laser. It was a perfectly straight line of little white dots. And there's probably, I don't know, 20 or 30 of them. And it was in a straight line coming across, and they all came up over the horizon like this. And at first we were like, what the hell? Is that like some kind of UFO something? It was nuts. And then I remember Starlink, Elon Musk, all those little mini satellites all lined up in a row, kind of just streaking across the sky.
Crazy.
Middle of the night. It was nuts.
Wild.
Yeah. So what's been going on with you?
Well, it's working. McKinley got COVID, so we were down for a while. McKinley. So yeah, living your life and, breathing in other people's air. So he was out. And so it was just Jeff and I just, making the next bout of airlane drives. And then, I think I might've touched on this, but I spent a lot of time dialing in the pickups. So Wes gave me this, Revolta Regatta because I don't know if this is going to show up. No, it's not good. This arrived in a container and the neck and the body were not connected.
Oh, cool.
And this is a set neck guitar. So he literally glued it back together.
Right.
And said, here, you want to put some pickups in this? And I said, I'll try it. So it's become like the pickup testing guitar just to mix it up from the Rev Star I bought. And I think we got it. I think the pickups are done. So
okay, nice.
So Porter pickups will be wanting stuff for me. And Brian and company are great dudes. And yeah, we're going to start the whole thing. So I've spec'd them out. I've got the turns. I've got the magnets. I've got the sound, I think. And the entire time I was A-Bing this with guitars that were, extraordinarily more expensive with crazy pickups. So my Les Paul, my McCarty Hollow Body 2, which has throwbacks, that guitar is just phenomenal. And after we got these magnets in it, it's like, that's it. So happy.
Nice.
But apart from that, it's just Graham turns 4 on Friday. So we've been planning.
Mazel tov.
Yeah,
Mazel
we've been
tov,
planning
Graham.
his birthday. So
4 is it's one of those first experiences as a birthday where it's kind of a bit of a throwaway birthday. It's like turning 32,
No, up until 10, you're a little kid. So it's the Patton Oswalt like number of birthdays you get. Like,
wait, I don't know the Patton Oswalt number of birthdays thing.
So Patton Oswalt says, up until about 10, you get a birthday every year.
Yeah.
And then you don't get a birthday for 11.
Right.
12, you get a birthday because it's your last, you're not a teenager yet.
Right.
13, you get a birthday because you're a teenager now.
Okay.
16, you get a birthday because you can drive.
Yeah.
18, you can get a birthday because you can vote. Then you don't get a birthday till 21 when you can drink.
Yep.
And then it's a birthday every 10 years.
Yeah. I feel like that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But his
nice.
joke is very funny. So if you don't know Patton Oswalt's birthday joke, just go look it up.
I like his cameo in, was it Parks and Rec, where they're at the county hearing, and he's describing what would become the opening scene of the Boba Fett series, and he actually got writing credit on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly how all of us nerds thought it would be. But yeah, the extended cut of that, like him talking about the Marvel Star Wars crossover, is pretty fantastic. But
yeah, I couldn't finish the Boba Fett series though. Couldn't do it.
Oh man, yeah, it gets
the scooter chase scene. Once we got to that point, I was like, I'm out. This is so un-Star Wars to me. It's so far removed from the universe. I can't reconcile it. And I just was out. Didn't finish it.
Before we dip a rig, I should just say one of the things that felt so wrong to me, because I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, and John Mollo, the costume designer for Star Wars, had one rule. Well, had many rules about costumes, but there was one very important rule. And when you think about it, you're like, oh, there's no zippers anywhere in Star Wars. And all of those characters had like zippered leather jackets, and it's like not in universe. They're all buttons, or like you don't see it. It's just like folded over and attached. Yeah. And that really pulled me out of it. And those scooters, like, it looked like you just took a Vespa and put it on a hoverboard. It didn't make any sense.
So yeah, I couldn't finish it. Couldn't stomach it. Yeah. All right, cool. Do you want to dip rig?
Yeah, we got one right here. So, pow.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
This is from Christopher Glover, and he has got some matchy gear going on, and I like it.
Yeah, he does. Yes, he does.
So what he's got a Novo Solus M1 and Cat's Eye burst, which for those listening is like the Epiphone green to black burst. A olive drab looking Les Paul Special Gibson, a Fender American Professional in like a greenish drab color. He's got a Tone King Imperial head and cab, a Benson Nathan Jr. in tweed, and his pedal board's really simple. He's got a Polytune, a Greer Super Hornet, Brown Protein, a 1981 DRV, full tone OCD, and then the Walrus Audio Mako D1 V2. So I guess that's the delay. And then he even has olive drab cables, which is just fantastic. So
yeah, a lot of earth tones happening in this image right now.
Yes.
Very and even the feather picture in the background.
Yeah, and the wall.
And the wall. And then the floor. Yeah. It's all just, if you made a palette of this image, it's just brown and green.
Oops.
That's it. Uh-oh. What'd you do? Why'd you do that?
I was trying to do this on Discord.
Oh my God. Crazy.
Discord sucks. I'm sorry.
I listened to the How I Built This episode on the founder of Discord. Do you ever listen to that podcast?
Man, this is the only podcast I listen to.
You would like How I Built This. This is an NPR show. It's about they interview founders of really well-known companies. I listened to the one with Leatherman. Did you know that Leatherman is the founder's last name, Tim Leatherman.
I did know that, actually.
Oh, well, then whatever. Forget I said that. All right, let's get back to this rig here.
Sure.
All right, well, guitars, I mean, the Novo, come on.
Super rad.
The Solus, yeah. The Solus, I love my Solus. You, I imagine, are still into your Solus?
Yeah, it's the only guitar it's the only Novo I have that I go, I should really just like mess with this and put in all sorts of wacky stuff. But yeah, it's a fantastic guitar.
Then the Les Paul Special there, dual
Easy.
P90s. Yep. Strat, maple board, easy. Which, by the way, per our episode a few weeks ago, turns out most people are like me and can feel the board. So I think something's wrong with how you play.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not that. I just don't think it is such a impediment, and I don't think it's like. I think blindfolded, the majority of people couldn't tell the difference.
Oh, I disagree. I wouldn't say it's an impediment. Like, it doesn't impede me. It feels different, changes. But I would bet that if we blindfolded, if we took what is our sample size here? You think 10 people? 15,
well,
20
to
people?
get an accurate bell curve, you need 30 people, and they would all need to be guitars probably that they'd never played before. So at least not their personal guitars. So
right. And then have them play and see if they could discover the difference.
We do an ANOVA study, an analysis of variance to find if there is significance or not significance.
Well, sure. What you just said, because you have a college degree. Strat, cool. Straight ahead. He's got some of the bases covered. Perhaps, oh my God. Perhaps a humbucker guitar somewhere in the mix would be cool.
Sure.
You get the dual P90 thing happening, but the Solus and the Special are two different things. I mean, there's really the only similarities there are the pickup. All right, now the Imperial that's the Mark II, right? Imperial Mark II. It's hard to.
His email says
it looks like my Mark II.
It says Mark II, yeah. So that's the one with the attenuators and all the goodies.
Dude, that is a killer amplifier. They're so good.
They're great.
They're really, really good. I'd never owned a Tone King, and Tone King did give me mine, so some transparency there. But I play it a lot, a lot, because it kind of does all the Fender stuff that I would want from any of my Fenders. It can do the clean deluxe thing. It can do the tweed thing. It can get really, really broken up and raunchy. It's great sounding tremolo, great sounding reverb. That's a killer amp.
I really like the lead channel on it. I feel like everyone kind of like they don't really talk about it, but because it's not as normal because it has like the tone and then like the mid. It's like
it's the bite. Hold on,
right.
Let me wait.
Well, we can pull it up.
Yeah. Mid bite is what the control's called.
Right.
And it does a cool thing. It's like it's not a static control, meaning like it doesn't just turn up or turn down the mid range of the bass. It's kind of like the bass control on an AC30, like an old AC30, as you turn the bass up, it also shifts the mid range as well. It's that kind of thing where you're getting a 2-for-1 sort of control, and it really does have a drastic difference in the tone of the amp in that mid bite control. It's super cool.
You have to balance them. It's not just like you set one, set the other, and then that's it. It's like you have to play.
They're interactive. Yeah.
But man, they're great amps. I personally, of all the Tone Kings, I like the Sky King the most because it just has a little bit more punch because it's louder. It's 40 watts.
Right.
But the Imperial for like a do it all, most every gig you could handle. It's a great amp for that. So
if someone's looking for a one amp to do everything and they want a really good tube amp and they want it to do the American thing, I really don't think you could go wrong with that Imperial Mark II. And it's got the Iron Man attenuator built into it as well.
Yeah.
Which is sick. That to me is the Iron Man 2. I've owned one for a few years. I bought one from Righteous a few years ago. That's the best attenuator on the market, in my opinion. I really love the Iron Man attenuator, and it's built into the amp. I mean, come on.
Right. And can't you select if it's on the channel, like on channel 1, or you can pick which channel it's on? There's some more.
I don't know.
But
I stuck mine on my, because I play it through the aux in here, so I don't actually
Mhm.
use the attenuator.
Right.
But I might actually take mine out. I've got a couple shows coming up in August with Noah, and I might take the Imperial out and gig with it, because it would be the perfect gigging amp. If you're looking for that American crunchy tweed thing, for sure, it would do that really, really well. Takes pedals really well too. My God.
Yeah, they're really, it was always like the main go-to demo amp at Carter for majority of guitars. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then the Benson, Matthew Timmons of Novo has one, the Nathan Jr. He loves it. I'm not super familiar with it.
I'm not either.
I know it's a pretty low wattage sort of like practice thing, but I mean, you know,
is it going for
cool.
like the Harvard champ kind of thing, or is it, because it looks like a tweed? It's got tweed covering on it, but that could just be aesthetic.
Yeah, let's see. It's 1 6v6, 5-watt combo with spring reverb. So
okay.
It's hard to say.
5-watt single 6v6. That's kind of champ-esque.
Yeah, and it's got treble and bass.
Yeah, depending on what the tone stack looks like. Little redundancy there, I feel like, with the Benson and the Tone King. A little overlap. If you're gonna have two tube amps, I feel like they should do two different things.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then the pedal board, pretty meat and potatoes, pretty straight ahead. Protein, killer. Hornet, killer. And the 1981, isn't that a Rat?
Well, okay, so I don't know if we've ever talked about this pedal. Like, I know Matt. I've played that pedal before it was out. Like, I went over to his house when like we were trying to get a game plan for him for building them.
Right.
And I've heard it in a few permutations. It is inspired by a Rat 2.
Okay.
But it is not in and of itself a Rat clone per se. It just like has that voicing. I will deduct points though, because at Eastside Music Supply you can buy a olive drab 1981 DRV. So ditch that white one, get that olive drab one on there.
Yeah, because you've gone this far as in terms of matchy. The 1981 does really stick out on your board.
Right.
I mean, because even the OCD and the Walrus, they're white, but they kind of have that ivory off-white sort of thing going on. So
yeah.
And you know what? The Polytune as well. You need to get the black Polytune Mini.
The Noir.
I
hear that dog.
Yeah, my Doge is barking. Oh, and by the way, my so just part of the fiasco today was caused by I had to upgrade my phone. I didn't have to upgrade my phone. Let's be real. I wanted to upgrade my phone. And if you've ever done that, you know it's just a pain getting all your stuff ported over. So finally got into Discord. I made it, everyone.
Hey,
we're here. All right, cool. So all right, this is a great rig.
Yeah,
really, really nice rig. The only thing that I'm going to deduct points for here is the overlap in amplifiers. Both are super amazing amps. Really, really nice. But I feel like you've got too much of the same thing going on here. I would say keep the Imperial and swap the Benson out. Maybe even for a different Benson model. Maybe for the something more British voice is what I'm trying to get at here.
Like the Monarch.
Yeah, something that can give you that chimey, compressed AC, like an AC-15 kind of sound, I think would work incredibly well with that Imperial. And based off the pedal board, it doesn't look like you're going too much for a Marshall sort of sound. So I wouldn't necessarily go that. I'd go AC-15 style amp.
Right.
And then if you wanted to, you can get kind of jolly and run both of them at the same time, dual mono setup. Oh, that would be really nice.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of drives that could be. I mean, they all do a different thing, but I feel like the OCD and the 1981 are probably going to cover a similar ground sonically. Mm-hmm. Although I do think the OCD sounds best with the gain low. But at any rate, yeah. So what are you?
I'm going to give this 8.8 shoils.
Oh,
it's a good rig.
Yeah,
really good rig.
I was thinking 8.95.
Wow. Hey man, look, the past couple weeks you and I have been doing this, and then all of a sudden we're back. you and I are right back together. Just like that, you know?
Yep.
All right.
So there
Great
we go.
rig. Yeah.
Drink.
Okay, so let's talk about these pedals.
Wait,
Oh.
people, you need to subscribe to this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Because I've been noticing a trend that our subscriber count has just gone
Yep.
and stayed at just squeaky straight.
Yep.
And
have you looked at our analytics? Because you can tell. So I did this a few weeks ago. I'd never really looked at this for some reason on my channel, but it turns out like 68% of people that watch the channel on a regular basis aren't subscribed.
Yeah.
And the thing that was crazy was I said that in a video a few weeks ago, and my subscribers just went like skyrocketed for this month. Because what happens is YouTube just keeps recommending the videos in your feed, and I do this with channels all the time that I watch on a regular basis. They just constantly show up in my feed, and then I don't realize that I'm not subscribed to them. But it really does actually help the channel out when you subscribe.
Yeah.
So we like what we do.
We have about 30% of the people aren't subscribed. So we have that's a pretty high percentage for subscribed.
Yeah.
Of our watchers. But yeah, 30%. So yeah, just just push the button. We're not.
Just push the button.
We barely post these damn things. You know?
Yeah, we're not going to spam you because
we're trying, people.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, UA released these amp in a box pedals.
They quite literally are amp in a box. I can. They're sitting right over on my shelf. You want to grab them?
Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, I have two of the three. The third one is in one of my mono cases downstairs because I took it somewhere this week.
Sure.
So, yes.
So I had this thought before we started. We'll talk about those, but also, what's it worth to have a single standalone 1 amp, 1 pedal, 1 thing versus having all of it in one box? Now, granted, the money's different, but I thought we could talk about that.
Well, the money is, so what do these retail for? $4.99, something like that?
I think they're in the $300.
We should look that up so we know, we know what we're talking about here.
Go to sweetwater.com.
Yeah, sweetwater.com. Post some affiliate links in the description there.
They are $3.99.
Okay. What is a used HX Stomp going for right now on Reverb?
Oh gosh.
I don't know if my Reverb app is.
I got it. I got it. Let's see. So many things to click. Looks like they're floating in the 500-ish to. Man, they're expensive.
They are expensive.
500-ish to 600-ish.
Okay. So $100 difference, call it. So let's break down, because this I think is a pretty valuable discussion to have, because really these are for two different players. The HX Stomp, or some kind of all-in-one digital modeler, versus something like the UA amp in a box or the Iridium. And I only bring up those two because I haven't played the Walrus. What is it, the AC2S or whatever it's called?
Something like that.
I promise we know about what we're talking about, you guys.
I just know it's the Mako series. That's all.
Yeah. All right. So to me, we both own Stomps, right? Owned them for a few years. That is for someone who is much more comfortable in the modeling space, right? And you understand sort of the workflow and the ideology behind building a rig in that ecosystem. So the blocks and the signal flow, and treating it like you're building an entire rig in this little modeler thing. Now, it's no question that the Stomp is a different thing than these UA pedals. So this is the Ruby, this is the AC30, based off of 63 top boost AC30.
Yeah.
So this does one thing. This does that 63 top boost AC30 thing. Now you can do arguably the same sort of rig in the HX Stomp, but the workflow is totally different. This is for someone that doesn't want to menu dive. They don't want to sit and tweak and build their own presets and get nerdy. They just want to put this on their board, have it set up. Everything is right here. There is an app that goes with these that you can use, but I've not even opened it. I haven't even looked at it, and I've been playing these for a few days now. So yeah, it just depends on what you're looking for. If you're the type of person that you don't want to mess with menus, you don't want to deep dive, you don't want to sit and tweak your stuff all the time, I would push you towards something like this. If you are looking for a little bit of everything, you want to have maximum versatility. It can be a rig, it can be an effects processor, it can be just the wildest delay pedal you've ever had, then go with something like the Stomp.
Yeah. But you know, above all that, it's kind of like which one sounds better?
Ooh.
You know?
Well, I will say these sound really good.
Yeah.
They do. The Ruby in particular, I really like. I have a 64 AC30. Right. And this does that thing. Now, I had a Zoom call with James Santiago from UA. If you don't know who he is the designer of the aux, of the effects pedals, and now of these pedals. The dude knows his stuff when it comes to vintage guitar tone and gear. Like that's his bread and butter, his MO. And you know, generally everything that UA does, I think is at a really high level. Now, the Woodrow, what's interesting, so this is the Tweed. This is the first one that I played. Okay. And initially, so basically the way these work, if you haven't seen the videos, this is not going to be a demo video, but essentially you've got your amp controls, and then you've got 3 different speaker models. And like the Iridium, you can turn off the speaker emulation and push it in front of an amp, which I love doing, because if you're looking for an overdrive that is very amp-like, arguably something like this, something like the Iridium does that really, really well. And that's a fun thing. If you've never done that before, hit the front end of a tube amp with an AC30 circuit, preamp circuit or whatever. It's rad. But I have to admit, like on the Woodrow, which is based off of a Tweed Deluxe 55 Tweed Deluxe, there's 3 speaker models. There's an Alnico Blue, which I love. That's what I have in my actual Tweed. There's the JP12, and then there's a Greenback 25. Now, the JP12 and the Greenback 25 on their own, and I talked to James about this yesterday, like it kind of sounds bad. Right. Like it's weird and nasally and like not something that you would traditionally think of as a good amp tone, but you have to remember when you're listening to something on its own, that's different than the amp in the context, like in a musical context.
Right.
Right. So we talked about that. I was like, yeah, on its own, I really leave it on the Woodrow. I leave it in the Alnico Blue setting because that's what I like. But the other 2 kind of do this funky, weird, nasally thing that you might not use all the time, but when you need it, it's there, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just keep talking about it because there's still one more switch, right? Because there's like a...
Yeah. Okay. So there's on the Woodrow, and then the other cool thing is you got like a boost setting on this side.
Oh, right.
Okay. So that's this boost control is the bottom right knob here. And so on the Woodrow, you have the KP3K, the stock setting, and then an Echoplex preamp. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what the KP3K version.
It's like a Korg rack delay.
That's right. Like it's the preamp section of a rack delay.
Yeah, it's the Edge. That's what he used.
Yeah. It also has the interactive volumes, like the Tweed Deluxe has, which is cool. And they do work like the amp, which is nice.
Yeah.
You got the room control too, so you can dial in the amount of like room ambience. It's not necessarily a reverb per se. I mean, technically it is, but it's not. You're not going to get like a hall or a plate kind of sound out of it. It's just like more amp in the room sort of sound.
Right. And the Dream 65, like the deluxe one.
Yeah, that's the one that's downstairs.
That one has like a Dumble mod.
Yeah.
And a lead mod, which would be like a Paul Rivera.
And that one's actually the one that I've been playing the most, because the reverb sounds good. I will say that the downside of that one is, so there's obviously a spring reverb in it. It's based off of Blackface Deluxe. And it sounds good, but it does have you get just kind of an air of digital spring reverb
Right.
over it. You know what I mean? But the tremolo sounds like the amp. And then, those boost settings are different mods. So there's, I don't have it in front of me. I can't remember what they're called.
Well, there's lead, stock, and then like D or something. So
yeah. But the other cool thing about on the deluxe is that the volume control, in my experience of playing those old deluxes, it breaks up around the same time. So the throw of the volume pot, as you start to get up to that 4 or 5 on the knob, it compresses and then starts to break up like the actual amp does.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really good, dude. Like they're good. They sound good.
So, I mean, who are these? Who do you think these are for? Are these, because to me, I look at it as like the new version of a backup for your amp. I mean, they're more than that. They're way more than that. But, is it going to replace someone's fractal or their neural plugin or whatever in a studio situation? Or is it mainly going to be for like people that need it on a board or to go right to front of house and replace the Iridium or something?
It's an Iridium competitor. It's not going to compete with your fractal or your Helix or your Kemper. And if you're the type of person that you already have one of those things, this is not for you. Like you've kind of like made your decision and you've kind of stepped foot in that modeling camp. Now, if you are, wanting more simplicity and you think, okay, yeah, I'm an AC30 player and all the sounds that I use in my fractal are all just AC30 sounds, and I'm looking to downsize or maybe go to a more traditional pedal board setup, then okay, maybe you could transition. But I don't know. I think if you're already in some kind of modeling platform, this is not your thing. This to me is for that player that needs something on their board that allows them to go direct, where they don't want to deal with an amp, or they're in a situation where they can't deal with an amp, which unfortunately is a lot more working players these days.
Yeah.
A lot of people are having to go either straight to front of house, or they're having to go with a modeler or an aux, because people don't want stage volume anymore. Churches don't want stage volume. A lot of artists don't want stage volume. Everyone's on in-ears. Everyone's going direct. And so I think that's more what this is for. You throw it on your board and you've basically got the amp on your board, essentially.
I mean, I just had a thought, and I was looking at the back of them. It doesn't appear that they can do this. I mean, maybe they can with the app or something, but it would be kind of cool to have something where it's just in your board and you could send just pass through it and it doesn't affect the signal going to your amp.
Like a blend?
And then you could just send it out to front of house and you just need a 1/4-inch cable.
You could do that. You would have to.
If you just had a splitter, you could.
Yeah, you'd have to have a splitter and a loop on your board. Yeah, you could totally wire that. And some switchers could do something like that. Like I'm sure the Gig Rig could probably do that. RJM could probably do something like that. Yeah. But
I mean, because that seems to have so much value, because like if you gig with a deluxe, you gig with a AC30 or a Tweed, you don't have to worry about miking it ever. You have it dialed in. It's going to sound the same. I mean, depending on the sound reinforcement, but I mean that's a really powerful tool for consistency. But then you're like, because I think we get trapped in this bubble as guitar players, and we think, oh man, my sound is going to be so perfect. But there's a whole other, there's other members of your band.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think.
Well, it's funny. I'm gonna call out my friend Eric Zapata here, because he's so funny. He sends me stuff all the time. He's like so anti-digital in everything. Yeah. He is vehemently against any kind of modeler, any kind of digital like version of, and he can do that because he has the luxury of touring in a first class killer rock band with Gary Clark Jr. If you don't know, Zapata is the other guitar player in Gary Clark Jr.'s band, and they sound phenomenal. And Zapata sounds phenomenal. He does a lot of work. He does a lot of heavy lifting in that band in terms of tone and parts and playing and stuff. And he's got all the shit. Like when you go see them live, he's got the stuff on stage that works for him because they have guitar techs. They travel with their same monitor engineer. They travel with their front of house guy. You know, Gary can have whatever the hell he wants on stage. That's great. That's like the ultimate sort of romantic idea, at least for players like me. It's like, yeah, I want to have my last time I saw them, we toured with them in 2019. Zapata's rig was 2 100-watt plexis. One was a real 68. I think they both were real 68s. 2 plexis going through 2 of the big Fender bass breaker cabs, the 15-inch speakers. And then this giant pedal board with a vintage Fender spring reverb tank, like the whole thing. And it sounded unbelievably good.
Right.
But the vast majority of guitar players now who are gigging and who are playing out and who are trying to make money and make this their career can't do that because you don't have a guitar tech. You're playing with different clubs, different venues every night, different engineers, and then you're probably playing with an artist that doesn't want to hear any guitar on stage. They just basically want to hear their vocal and a little bit of keys or something. So it's great to have the luxury to be able to say like, oh, I'm anti this or it's all the real shit or whatever. But the reality is the way things are going now, it's these tools are becoming more and more necessary, I think.
Well, and they're I mean, obviously they're going to get it's always going to be the best technology in that moment.
Right.
But I think over the past couple of years, the lines have been so blurred because I have friends like that, friends that work at Carter and very much like purists.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they see me like post the pictures of the Strandberg or like videos of me playing like the HX Stomp through the power cab. And you get all these comments and everyone's like, oh man, this sounds great. Or they'll say that. And then you say, oh, it's my HX Stomp through the power cab with a patch I made using one of Rhett's IRs or one of like an Eminence IR I bought.
Right.
And they're like, it's like why was it fine in that moment when you didn't know what it was?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like we just have to accept it because I mean, if whatever gets the job done and makes your life easier as a musician and the band's life easier and the venue's life, the venue's job easier, I think it is the best thing. Like I played at the Basement once and I had so much stuff. I had so many guitars and amps and stuff. And I was just filling in for this like Americana band. And I brought a Dr. Z Carmen Gia, a 2x12 cab, like an overdrive pedal, a tremolo pedal, and a Les Paul. And the guy just like, we mic'd it up and it was done and it was so fast. And he's like, man, if everything was that easy, I would be so happy. And it can be that easy because all you have to do is go XLR cable, burp, and it's done.
Yeah. Now, last time I played the Basement, I was playing my Tweed Deluxe, the one that I built from Mojotone, and I had it so quiet that it was basically off. And then the front of house guy again, and it was pointed stage left, and they were like, "Hey, can you turn down some more?" And it literally like I said no. And I showed him, I was like, dude, if I move this knob anymore, it just cuts off. Like and it sounded terrible. It did not sound good. But that's what I mean is like so many venues and people now, it's like no stage volume, keep the stage volume low. And okay, fine. But at least for rock music, having guitar amps on stage moving air is, I think, kind of necessary to the sound.
Sure.
It just, as long as it's done right and in the right context for the venue, like you got to have it, man. You got to have that interaction of the guitar and the amplifier, like in the same space, working together as like the symbiotic organism. But unfortunately, the reality is now for most working guitar players is you got to have some kind of digital solution. Even if it's not your main thing, you have to have it as an option.
Yeah.
The Iridium I used on a radio date in the Netherlands. We loaded into this radio studio. It was basically like Dutch NPR. And we played a live performance. And my backline amp on that tour was an AC30. Like I can't roll an AC30 into a radio studio and expect anyone to be happy about it. But the Iridium was perfect. I laid it on the floor. I sent the guy a mono signal out, an XLR out, and I plugged my board into it, and it sounded fine. Sounded good.
Yeah.
You know. Now, was it like my analog wet dream of gear and tone? No. But it worked in that moment. We were able to put down a really good performance that a lot of people heard and people dug. So
it's funny. I feel like a lot of the purists, they see people adopting digital side of things, and it's not like you're adopting it and then throwing everything else in the garbage, but that's how you're treated. You know, it's like, I'm not ever going to sell the 2-Rock or this PRS amp because they make me happier than any other amplifiers I've ever touched that I could afford, you know. And like I just don't know why we can't have both. And do you think that eventually, apart from the big stages, like we're ever going to get to a point where that you have to be silent, like you have to be quiet?
I think it depends on the band. Okay. So, this past weekend I got to go see our friend Kenny Greenberg. He was in Atlanta, plays for Kenny Chesney, playing the biggest venue in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, sold out, 75,000 something people there. It's crazy. And we were side stage, and that is Kenny Chesney's band. They're a bar band. They're a big bar band. There's 3 guitar players on stage. 2 guitar players and an aux guy who's playing everything really well. And it's a rock show, and they're playing real amps, but there's no cabs on stage. Everything, you know, where I was standing was in Guitar World, where all the techs were, and you could see the amps in the road cases. And they had, you know, it was all third power stuff, a matchless, and like the Marshall SV20s and stuff. No cabs. Now, I don't know if they were running them to cabs and ISO boxes off stage, or if they were using auxes or Captor X's or whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, even in a context like that, which arguably is the right place to do it, there still isn't. But if you go see the Black Crowes live, which I'm doing again in a couple weeks, that's all amps on stage, old school, like, you know.
Well, when I saw John Mayer a few weeks ago, I mean, he had all his amps on stage.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, I mean, I don't know how he's like doing it, but it was kind of funny though. I found that, did you see him on the most recent tour?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, it's fine. Like, honestly, it was great, and it was really cool to go, and I got to see David Rotten Harris before the gig, and like, you know,
I say it that way because we decided not to go. We had like a senior moment, and then now I regret not going. We were like, we got to drive downtown, we got to park.
No, I get it. I'm like that with most things.
Yeah.
But I found, because the band was so big, and I think they were like really miking stuff, that it was really kind of muddled, at least for like the first half of the show.
Well, that's just kind of, going to see a show in an arena is like that. I don't know that I've ever had a good sound experience in an arena before.
Man, the last time I saw him, which was like right before the pandemic, it was really good. I mean, every time I've seen it has been like good, but I think this was 2019. It was like, holy hell, like this guy, like this thing is awesome. And it was incredible. It might have been where we were. We were on the floor, like right in front of the stage. It's kind of perfect. But I mean, I don't know. It's like, I've not seen a whole lot of shows at Bridgestone. I mean, probably like 10 or so. I mean, that's a lot, but not that many. And it was one of the worst sound experiences I had. And I think they were just miking so much stuff that it just got lost as this wall of sound.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, you have to think about that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I I see these as just another tool in the toolkit, and they're going to be right for some players, right? Somebody out there is going to get the Woodrow and put it on their board, and it's going to be like the end all be all solution for them. They're going to be so happy.
Yeah.
Other people are going to buy it, and they're going to be like, "Wait, I don't use this thing. It's a huge waste of money," and sell it and move on. That's part of the journey of this stuff. It's like it takes years, and it just buying something, trying it out, seeing how it fits. Does it work with your style or not? And we all do it.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to experiment and try new things. I think they're really cool. I'm glad they did this, and I think competition is good for this market. So I'd love to see Strymon respond, or somebody else come out and do something better than this. Because at the end of the day, it only benefits us.
Right.
You know?
And I've only watched one video of it. I watched the Andertons video like right when it came out, because it was the first one I saw, and they were running it right to the desk, and I thought they sounded really good. And the fact that you have an app, it's kind of like an evolution of what TC Electronic has done.
Yeah.
Only way better. I mean, not to shit on TC Electronic. I mean, they make really good stuff for the money that it costs, but this with the app and the flexibility is pretty phenomenal. So, I mean, I'm excited to hear them. It's not something I want to rush out and buy because I don't need it. It doesn't, it has no,
there's no real reason for you. The only reason you don't need it. There's no reason for you to buy one. You have the Stomp, you've got the amps. Like, I was going to say the only reason you should get one is because you don't have, I was going to say you should get the Ruby, the Vox, because you don't have any Vox sound. But then it's like, no, you have the Stomp. If you want the Vox sound, just dial in a Stomp preset.
But also, how much does a used AC30 cost?
Well, yeah, I don't. Gear prices right now are kind of insane, and then you got to attenuate it. You would have to attenuate it.
Not here, not at the shop.
Oh, we do have the aux too.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Let me just see. I'm just gonna look on Reverb real quick. Oh well, I mean a 1x12, which is not. I mean, it's not the full experience.
Although, hold on. What AC30 are you looking at?
I'm just looking at
like a Chinese made used.
Yeah, just a reissue AC30.
Honestly, I think I'd rather have this.
You think so?
Yeah, than the new like Chinese made, just normal off the shelf AC30s. They don't sound like the AC30 that at least I have in my head.
Well, oh yeah, I mean
they don't sound like it. They don't. And if that's the sound you're going for, especially if it's something where you're going to be like recording, this does that sound better than the modern reissue AC30s. And yes, even the hand wired ones, man.
I agree.
They just do this weird fizzly top end thing that my vintage one doesn't do.
No, but I mean that's the argument, right? You see a pedal that costs $400, you see a used amp that costs $650. And it's like, it all depends on what, purpose it serves. But I mean, I see your point. I think if I needed a Vox sound, ultimately I would probably go for like a Morgan or maybe a Victory or something like that.
Right.
If I really needed it. And it's something I like.
And that amps, you're not going to get for $650. So that's my point. It's like, all right, somebody who's in that, they've got, let's say $700 to spend. And they're like, I need a Vox sound, or I want a Vox sound. For what? To play at home? Okay. To gig with? Okay. To record with? Okay. In all of those scenarios, for that money, I think something like the Ruby or some other digital solution that is modeled after a vintage Vox does that vintage Vox sound better than the new reissue Chinese-made Voxes.
Sure,
that you could get for $650, $700. Yeah. So it goes down to like what do you really want, or it's a want versus need thing. I need the Vox sound. I want the Vox sound. What's going to get me there in the best way possible? Well, in that price range, I think it's the pedal.
Sure. Okay.
So,
but then like if someone wants that sound and they need to use it live, and they maybe they're in a band where they don't have sound reinforcement, they don't need or it's not an option to even have monitors, because there's a lot of bands that are like that, Yeah. do you think that pedal works with the cab stuff off, going into some, like your most basic of like hot rod DeVilles?
I think, yeah, I think it could. No, I haven't tried it yet, but like if I put that in front of my Port City,
Yeah.
like here's how I would run it in that mode. So cab mode off in the front of a clean amp in my pedal board. I would put it at the end of my drive section before my time-based effects.
Okay.
So I would say, so that way you can kind of fake like the studio signal flow thing, which is like you take sort of the dry amp sound via microphone, and then you would bus it through a reverb or a delay or whatever in post.
Yeah.
Doing that kind of on your pedal board, I think would be a cool solution. Or you just throw it at the end of your pedal board chain going into your amplifier.
One thing that pedal show talked about, and I don't think we've ever talked about this, but on like a hot rod, they have the effects loop. And if you don't go into the front of the amp and just go into the effects, I guess it's the return.
Yeah.
It's the amp. I mean, the amp's all up.
Right.
But you can use a pedal as a preamp into that. And
Yeah,
just turn
which
the
I
volume
have.
down.
I have tried with my Port City because the Port City's got an effects loop, and I've done that, and I've had mixed results because it depends on what type of effects loop you have, and what type of signal does it want to see.
Yeah.
So I haven't tried it with this yet, but that could be a really good solution if your amp has a loop.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is I tried it with a hot rod with a Shin Dumbloid, which is like, you know, a Dumble in a box thing.
Yeah.
Because I was so curious, like because I tried a lot of stuff to see, because there were a lot of amp in a box pedals before they were true like that, like a real amp. And that Shins thing into a hot rod in the effects return sounded really good. Like really good.
There's so many different ways to do this. And then the advantage that this would give you if you got something like this on your board is, let's say you've got a really great amp, and then you've got something like this, and you're a gigging guitar player. And like most gigging guitar players, you find yourself in a multitude of different situations. Sometimes you might be playing like a packed club to 500 people, and you can just go straight into your amp and just do it. Sometimes you might be playing a situation where you have to go direct. Sometimes you're doing a combination of the two. You got to be sensitive to stage volume, but you can use your amp, but you have a direct solution. So throwing something like this on your board, I think opens up your whole rig to a lot of different possibilities. Same thing with the HX Stomp. The Stomp can be the same thing, right? Yeah. It's like it turns your board into a bit of a Swiss Army knife. Yeah. Which is how I've used them in the past. And it's cool because I can kind of walk in any situation and I can say, okay, tonight I'm not using my amp. I need to use the Stomp or the Iridium, or, oh, tonight let's just go all out, like plug the amp up and mic it up and go, you know? So that's who I think these are for.
Okay.
I think they're really good. Some cool features. They look good. They're built really well, like UA stuff is.
The aesthetic is awesome. I love
the machined, the like it looks like it's out of a single billet of aluminum, you know.
It's great. It's real sexy.
It's great. All right. Cool. Do you have a shill of the week?
I do. And then I have one thing before the end that I need to share. We should probably talk about some other stuff too, just to be safe. So when I received my Wonder effects,
the Oneater
effects, I also received some stuff from another friend that I haven't talked about either. Like, I feel I'm a dick. But this, let's see.
Oh, so that's rad.
Yeah. So this is from MAE. So I think Mask Audio Electronics is Alec, and he makes some really cool fuzz pedals. This one is like a Civil War sort of big muff thing, and the Cascader. This one's my favorite. This is a combination with collector emitter, and it's just a fuzz that is crazy. But his stuff, MAE, is really cool. He's a sweet guy. He's a good designer. He makes wacky fuzzes. I mean, he's making like these things are loud and in your face.
Hell yeah.
And you know, they're dangerous.
That's what I like.
Yeah. So you would love these, but I bought a few because he was having like a sale because he was moving. I'm like, I'm going to support this guy because, you know, he's a nice guy, and he sent me a few extra just because, you know, that's what we pedal people do. But check him out, MAE, Mask Audio Electronics. I'm pretty sure it's Mask. I feel just You ever have those moments where you're like, I know this, and
I know what this is called, and I can't remember. Yep, nice. Well, I bought me a set of pickups today.
Oh,
for my casino. So I'm going to upgrade the pickups in my casino. We're actually going to do it tomorrow over at Righteous. And
you're not going to do that yourself. You're not going to weasel wire down there.
No. See, work smart, not hard. I'm going to have Ben over at Righteous do it for me.
Sure.
And I'm going to film him.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stand there with a camera and figure it out. So I got I went down to Atlanta Discount Music today because they had some in stock. And I got me a set of Lawler dog ear P90s. Now, what's interesting about this is that these two pickups are from two different sets and two different time periods. Because he was like, they had them just laying around the shop. And he was like, yep. So we opened this one. Let's see here. This is the bridge. And this is from 2021. Okay. Pretty standard, right? This neck is from 2014.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to have two pickups separated by 8 years, something like that, 7, 8 years. So I think I'm going to go with the black covers too. Replace the chrome covers with the black.
Black looks good on those.
Yeah.
And are you going to rewire the pots as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I asked Ben.
50s way and
yeah, exactly. He's got all the stuff there at the shop. So we're going to make a video on it tomorrow, upgrading the pickups and kind of that, because that casino is so good from the factory. Like it for the money, for the $700, that guitar slaps. I play it a lot, but the pickups are too dark. They're not.
And those covers are thick and they're blocking a lot of, and they're noisy. Yeah. It'll come to life after you do that.
Yeah. And then it's like, man, there's a real argument for these import guitars like that, where, you know, you get your hands on one for a decent price, buy a used one. Somebody bought a casino, they don't like it or whatever, get a used one and then slap some good pickups in it. And
yeah, we went, McKinley and I, he wanted a humbucker guitar and he kind of had the itch, and we went to Guitar Center one day, like after work, and played the 335, like the, you know, what I think they're like $600 or something. They're not expensive.
Yep.
And it was really good. I don't like the fingerboard. They're using Laurel or something. It's so light. It needs like some sort of stain to make it look like real wood. But from a playability and a sound standpoint, it was really shocking.
Nice.
And you know what's funny? Like I know you love to hate it, but that Strandberg is made in Indonesia. It was a refurb. I can't find a flaw on it. The pickups are made in California. They're like wound by a small winder. That guitar is really like a really well made. You know, like you can't. I don't know. There's hands making guitars all over the world. You know, it shouldn't matter. But
right. Well, no. I look. The thing with the Strandberg, I just hate the way it looks. If it sounds good, it is good. Right. Yeah. If it plays good, it is good. If it makes you happy when you play it, it is good. I just think they look so bad.
I know they're weird, but you know what's funny? The more I've played it, because it's the main guitar I play around the house because it's so small. I can just play on the couch. You know, it's like, and it's comfortable. It has made me, every time I pick it up, I come up with music. I don't just like sit and noodle and play the riffs. I actually start writing songs and things that work together beyond chromaticism and scales and stuff.
That's great.
And that's like the most important thing that you can ask from an instrument.
Yeah, I just wish it had a damn headstock.
Well, I have other guitars for headstock.
If the Strandberg had a headstock, that guitar would be cool. If it had a headstock in all the other, like, just add a good looking headstock, not like the James Tyler headstocks from that. You remember those with the?
Oh, I think the James Tyler headstock shape is okay. It's the print on it.
Oh my God, Zach!
The shape is okay.
The shape is all right. Awful. It's the most.
It's the logo on it that ruins it.
The logo that just calls out how bad the shape is.
No.
We need to do a video on worst guitar headstock shapes, because there's some real bad ones out there.
I don't mind the headstock shape on that. I think it's more interesting and more thought out than like a Sir, where they just like put it on a big like drum sander and went, and like there we go.
Took a Strat and
yeah, don't come at me, Fender.
No, I agree. Headstocks are important, man. I'm the type of person that a headstock makes or breaks a guitar for me, and the Tyler headstocks are a no go for me. I just can't get past it.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. And I know the Strandberg is not everybody's cup of tea, but it's one of those things. Real quick, before we get off here, we should talk about Sweetwater.
Yep.
So
Gearfest.
Supposedly we're going to do something.
Oh, we're doing something. So the plan is to do Dipped in Tone live, and we're going to live stream it to my YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. That's the plan. So Gearfest is, I believe, not open to the public this year.
No.
They're trying to make it more of like an influencer type deal, which is fine. It's going to be a good time. So yeah, it's going to be live in a venue with people. I just don't think that we're allowed to have the general public come in.
Right. But it's literally a month away, and they've not sent us any information on.
That'll be fine.
I hate that. I need to know.
Dude, you've got a month to figure. That's fine. It's just Fort Wayne. It's not that far.
I know, and like everything's kind of in place. It's just like I need definitive plans, because I'm just that kind of person. Like if you say, "Hey, we're gonna do this," and then I need to know, like, right now. That
you've been texting me like, is this happening? Like, yeah, it's happening.
Like,
I don't have a flight yet. It's like, okay. It'll be fine. Figure it out, man.
Here's what I think is going to happen. They're going to say, Zach who? We'll send Rhett a ticket. And like they'll just leave my ass at home.
Nope. No, that's not happening. Because if that ever were to happen, then my ass wouldn't be going.
Well, so we're doing that. And then literally I'm coming back, I guess like Sunday. I'll fly back. Going to be home Monday. And then I am driving with Jeff, the pedal lizard himself, to JHS.
Oh, yes.
We're going to do the JHS live stream on Wednesday, going to shoot an episode on Thursday, and then Friday, I'm going to drive to Mass Street Music, and we're going to do, bam!
Whoa!
A live demo. We'll have Q&A, demo,
Holy
giveaways,
shit.
all sorts of stuff.
Look at you.
Yeah. It looks like a wanted poster. That's what everyone said. But we're going to do a like an in-store hang after hours on Friday night, and then we're driving back on Saturday.
Shit, I want to come. That sounds like fun.
It should be.
Man, I meant to stop at Mass Street because we drove back that way on our trip, but it was such a slog. It just wasn't going to happen. That's awesome though, dude. You're going to have so much fun. You haven't been to JHS yet, have you?
No.
Oh my God. No. You're going to have a jolly mint.
It's going to be fun. And we Jeff and I are going. He's going to help take photos and film and stuff. So,
dude, you don't know how many pedals Josh has in that room.
He sent me, because I once asked, when was it decided that input was on the right and output was on the left?
Right.
And he sent me a polo walking through opening drawers, saying, well, this came out in this month of this year and this. And I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude,
it's insane.
So we all know what the JHS show set looks like, right? It's just the shelves of pedals. What you don't see is underneath all those shelves are drawers that span the perimeter of the entire room. They go around the entire room, and it's like 4 or 5 drawers deep, and you pull the drawer out and they are full. I mean, just everything. There's pedals everywhere in there. And it's like, if he didn't own one of the largest pedal companies in the world, it would be a problem. He'd have a problem because it's like complete sets of, oh, this is when they changed from this font to this font. And then I've got 3 of these, and then they went to this color, but then for 1 week out of the year, they did this color red, and I've got this. And then we went over here. Like, dude, just 250s, DOD 250s. The guy has got, but the 250 episode that they did, I guess it was earlier this year. Mm-hmm. Josh literally worked on that for over a year, that episode for over a year, because he and I were poloing back during the pandemic, like March or April of 2020, and he had Tupperware boxes he was showing me full of 250s. He's like, this one, you can see there's 6 screws on the foot switch, whereas this one, there's 3 screws on the foot switch. Why did they switch? So I've got, it's insane. You're going to have an aneurysm when you walk in there. It's super cool.
I can't wait. And it should be really fun. My Addison, I'm telling you now, I'm going to try my best to use every double entendre and close to every dirty word I can, because they don't cuss on the live stream or the show or anything, which is hard for me. So I'm just gonna it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
we'll have to give me like a 10-second delay so they can mute me.
You mute me out. Yeah, no, it's gonna be a good time. You're gonna have a fun time playing, and being there in the room with the guys, like it's great.
Yeah,
Nick and Addison and the whole crew. You will get to experience Nick's creative genius firsthand.
Right.
And I mean that word literally. Nick is a creative genius. He is so brilliant at what he does. It's insane. So you're gonna have a good time.
I can't wait. Cannot wait. So
okay. Well. Nope.
That's it.
That's it. Goodbye,
Bye, everybody.
y'all.